Begin.
Trick or treat.
Oh, what a nice costume. Here's your candy.
Wow,
Happy Halloween.
thanks. Matt, look at the jackpot I hit over here.
All right, let me go to the next house.
Okay.
Trick or treat. Too late.
We've all done this at some point or another. Halloween is one of the most popular days of the year here in the United States. You get to dress up in cool costumes, you get to go to Halloween parties, and go to haunted houses, and more importantly, stuff yourself full of free candy.
But Halloween wasn't always the commercialized holiday that we have all become accustomed to. This day has been celebrated for thousands of years, with different customs, different symbols, and different traditions all around the world.
Halloween first began as a Celtic tradition about 2,000 years ago. It was called Samhain. This day marked the beginning of winter, a time when a lot of people died. They wore costumes to ward off the ghosts, and the dead returned to Earth. Romans later conquered the Celtic land and incorporated Feralia, which was a celebration of the dead, and the day of Pomona, which is apple bobbing.
Women have lots of superstitions about finding a husband on Halloween, such as using apple peels, egg yolks, and apple bobbing contests to figure out their future husbands. Americans made it less about religion and more about community, with parties and child-friendly celebrating.
Halloween roughly translates into summer's end because it symbolized the end of the warm summer season and beginning of the cold winter season. November 1st was known as All Saints' Day, and the day before that, October 31st, was known as All Hallows' Eve, or Halloween, as we know it.
This day is considered the first and the most important quarter day in the Gaelic calendar. The Gaelic calendar is the calendar that was used in Ireland, and it was also used in Scotland. It was a time when spirits could come into the world and walk among people. Some people would offer food or even sections of their crops as sacrifices to the dead, and other families would leave a spot at the dinner table for someone that has died so that they can come back and have a nice meal with them. While Halloween is widely associated with the dead, there are also many other things that symbolize All Hallows Eve.
The jack-o'-lantern is probably one of the most common symbols of Halloween. Its earliest origins stem back to the legend of Stingy Jack in Irish folklore. The legend states that a man named Stingy Jack once invited the devil down for a drink. Up for a drink. Now, Stingy Jack, being the stingy, cheap man he was, didn't have enough money to pay for the drinks, so he convinced the devil to turn into a coin to allow him to pay. Well, Jack decided it was a much better idea to just keep the money in his pocket next to a cross so that the devil could not change back. Eventually, he freed the devil, but only on the condition that he would leave Jack alone for an entire year, and should Jack die, he could not claim his soul. Well, the next year, Stingy Jack once again invited the devil up, and this time he asked the devil to go to the top of a really tall tree and pick fruit. Well, while he was up there, the Stingy Jack carved a cross into the bark so that the devil couldn't get down. After a while, the Stingy Jack agreed to free the devil, but only if he left him alone for another 10 years. The devil agreed, and Stingy Jack let him free. After a while, Stingy Jack died, and God didn't want such a foul man in heaven. And the devil, still angry at Jack, but true to his word, didn't allow Jack into hell either, but left him to wander the earth with only a burning coal to guide his way. Stingy Jack put the coal into a carved turnip, and people began to call him Jack of the Lantern, or Jack-o'-lantern. It's used to frighten evil spirits in the night. In the article Halloween Around the World on History.com, published in 2009, when Halloween was first starting up, European countries carved turnips as opposed to pumpkins. And when everyone started migrating to North America, we began carving the native pumpkins. On Halloween traditions, Halloween symbols, traditions of Halloween, found on pumpkinnut.com, published in 1998. Another symbol, though not as common, associated with Halloween is the apple. The apple is associated with goddesses, deities, and immortality. Women would use apple peels to figure out the names of their future husbands. They would take the peel and throw the peel over their shoulder, and whatever letter the peel made would be the first letter of their husband's name. The apples were also used to figure out lifelines. The longer the unbroken apple peel, the longer the life. Skulls, bones, skeletons, and other such things were also widely associated with Halloween. They remind people of the value of life and how easy it is to die. It added to the already frightening effects of Halloween. There are a few colors that are associated with this Halloween. The most popular, black, orange, and purple. Black is the color that we always associate with death all around the world. And since Halloween is most commonly known as the day when the dead come back to the earth, then it's only logical that we use black as one of the colors. Orange is used because Halloween happens in the fall and it symbolizes the time in between summer and winter. Orange symbolizes the leaves and the pumpkins and all the other colors that we usually see around this time of year. Purple is what we associate with magic and mystical beings such as witches and monsters, who we always see walking around during Halloween. Another common symbol are black cats. They're always considered unlucky because of their supposed association with witches. Witches would supposedly turn into black cats so they could walk among humans during the day. Or black cats could be used as messengers between witches, which is why you don't want a black cat crossing your path. Something else we see flying around a lot at night, especially here in Minnesota where we have so many mosquitoes, is bats. The only mammal that drinks blood is the vampire bat. So naturally it must be a vampire in disguise. Fire is another thing that we see a lot during this time of year. In Celtic times, it was used to make sacrifices, both animal and human. They were used to ward off evil spirits during the night and protect homes and families. Bonfires were also used to scare witches of their futures in hell. These various symbols helped to create the Halloween we all know today and worldwide traditions that are still used right now.
Latin countries celebrate the Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead in English. This is a 3-day celebration from October 31st to November 2nd. This is a short period of time to honor the dead and celebrate the life of those who have died. A common tradition during this holiday in Latin countries is decorating gravestones in cemeteries. Ireland, Canada, Puerto Rico, UK, Australia, and New Zealand all celebrate the Halloween we are familiar with here in the U.S. Over 120 million Americans dress up in goofy costumes every year. 90% of parents have admitted to stealing some of their kids' candy when they aren't looking, which really isn't all that surprising. 35 million pounds of candy corn are sold annually around this time of year. The Irish believe the world of living and dead were not separated by much this time of year. In England, they stopped celebrating All Hallows Eve a long time ago. But around the same time of year, Guy Fawkes Day, this day was created to commemorate the execution of traitor Guy Fawkes. Children walk around the streets asking people for pennies, not unlike trick-or-treating. A common food in England during this time of year is bonfire toffee. There are many traditions when it comes to Halloween. One specific one is known by many people as the concept of trick-or-treating.
The words trick-or-treat make many people think of one specific thing. Trick-or-treating on Halloween night until your bag is filled up with all sorts of candies, apples, and other goodies that your bag is so full that you can hardly hold it anymore. But why do we say trick-or-treat? The words trick-or-treat essentially mean give me a treat or I'll play a trick on you. According to the website Why Do People Say Trick-or-Treat, published in 2008, people say the words trick-or-treat because if a treat is given, then a trick will not be played on that house owner. But if a treat is not given to the person trick-or-treating, then that person will create mischief for the house owner. That can include either damaging their yard or property, or even doing something to the house owner's home. Trick-or-treating started in the Middle Ages. According to History.com, published on Wednesday, October 22nd, 2011, many poor people in Ireland and Britain would go souling on Halloween, which was November 1st. Souling consisted of poor people going door to door, asking for food in return for praying for the dead on All Souls Day, which was November 2nd, the day after Halloween. So as we would know today, it would go Halloween on the 31st, Halloween on the 1st, and All Souls Day on the 2nd. Guising was the custom of wearing costumes or masks to form a disguise. It began in Scotland in the late 19th century. We still use this concept today with Halloween costumes. Scottish children would dress like evil spirits and hope that those evil spirits wouldn't harm them. People didn't go around dressing like cute little princesses. They only dressed like evil spirits. Immigrants then brought these local customs to North America in the early 20th century. In North America alone, about $3 billion are spent on Halloween costumes. Trick-or-treating is not the only fun activity going on during the 31st of October. Across the country, there are numerous haunted attractions that you can visit to get your scare on.
Paid scaring venues, such as haunted houses and haunted hayrides, were first used by Junior Chamber International, a non-profit organization that encouraged young people to improve the economy here in America. This organization set up haunted venues as a fundraising idea. These haunted attractions started to become very popular in the 1960s and the 1970s. Haunted attractions today bring in about $400 million in the United States each year. This growth of the industry has led to more special effects in these haunted attractions and more realistic costumes that are being used, similar to those that are actually used in Hollywood. Some of the most common haunted attractions, which you can pretty much find anywhere these days, are haunted houses, haunted hayrides, corn mazes, or even dark, scary trails in the forest. Horror movies are also a popular selection for entertainment, and that's only if you think you can handle it. This genre of movies blew up in the 1970s and the 1980s with some of the classic hits, including Nightmare on Elm Street, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and The Shining, Jack Nicholson. Of course, we still have those new cheesy movies that are scary, including those awful Paranormal Activity movies and The Human Centipede. Despite these horrible thought-out movies, this particular genre brought in a whopping $413 million in 2012 in the U.S. And many of these films actually have to do with haunted houses. According to Dean Tersigni in 2006, a writer for the AlmightyGuru.com, many people claim that their house is haunted. Actually, it is most likely drafts from the wind, or plumbing or wiring, or outdated appliances that are making these ghostly sounds. Some people claim that their house is haunted just so that they can get out of their mortgage payment. In the 1st century AD, the first ghost story was written in Rome. It was written and reported by Pliny the Younger, a great Roman author and sage. He reported that an old man with a long beard and rattling chains was haunting his house in Athens. In 856 AD, the first poltergeist was reported at a farmhouse in what is now present-day Germany. For those of you who don't know, a poltergeist is a ghost that causes physical disturbances, like turning the lights on and off or knocking something off the table. There have been reported sightings of a spectral army as well, or an army of ghosts, on famous battlefields. There have been numerous reports of this at Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Gettysburg, as you know, was the site of a very bloody battle between the North and the South in 1863 during the Civil War. One of the most famous ghosts here in America is the ghost of Ben Franklin. His ghost has been reported being seen around the library of the American Philosophical Society in Pennsylvania. Some have even claimed to watch his statue come to life and dance around in the streets. As concluded by the Shadowlands.net in 1998, there are a total of 7 reported haunted areas in St. Cloud, 4 of which are located in the SCSU campus.
As you can see, there is a long history of how Halloween started, and there are many symbols associated with Halloween. There are numerous traditions around the globe, and trick-or-treating has become the norm for kids in America. Are you spooked yet?
Well, if you aren't, Halloween is right around the corner, And don't be lame and sit inside this Friday night. Go out, get some free candy, scare yourself at a haunted house, or watch some frightening movies with your best friends. Take advantage of this spine-chilling time of year. Take advantage of this spine-chilling time because it only comes around once a year.